Welcome back, everybody. Bear Clan's Hiking Sedona podcast, episode 23 today. Another interview for your entertainment. Guys, I got a special guest here today, Jeff Schlicht. And please, Jeff, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Okay. Thanks so much for having me here. My name is Jeff Schlicht. And just logistic-wise, I was born in Illinois. Midwest. Yes, land of Lincoln. It's on the license plates. In a small town called North Aurora. In fact, it was not even a town. It was called the village of North Aurora. And I was there till 17, but my greatest memories there is if you've ever seen the movie Stand By Me. With the kids and walking down the railroad tracks, and they'd be gone for the whole day. Yep. Okay, that was my upbringing, because 2 blocks from my house was out in the cornfields.
Nice.
And I lived a block and a half from, this is going to start to sound like Mayberry RFP.
Whatever. It's perfect.
A big river called the Fox River, and I would just walk down there and I'd go fishing. I lived across the street from my elementary school.
Yeah.
I knew everybody. Everybody knew everybody.
Tiny town.
Yeah. I left at 17.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I went to California.
Yeah.
And
big change.
Huge. Huge change. But it was a smaller town also. I moved to the Central Coast with my folks when they moved out there. It's actually 2 days after my graduation and was in Arroyo Grande, which is near San Luis Obispo, Pismo Beach.
Okay.
It's a mile from the ocean, so it was really nice. I went to junior college there in Santa Maria, known for its barbecue and tri-tips. Love them. After that, I went down to Long Beach, Cal State Long Beach, graduated from there, Bachelor of Fine Arts degree.
Oh, there you go.
Believe it or not. And my whole life was in the Long Beach area, and work was in Orange County, Long Beach area.
Okay.
I figured I wasn't going to make money at art.
Huh,
I know.
So why was that? Did you just not have it, or were you more in the theory of art, or were you actually trying to be an artist?
No, I love art. Art is in my veins. Okay. It's in my DNA. And
that's why you make food as good at looking as it is when you share it on Facebook.
Oh, I like to eat.
Art in your food, that's for sure.
I like to eat. In my cooking, I learned to cook at 6. I learned that when I could read, a cookbook was just that, a book. And if I could read, I could cook. And I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed the visual of it. I have had my train wrecks. And just disaster food, but I love it. Cool. And yes, pretty food is good food, but Bachelor of Fine Arts, it's not an avenue. You actually have to be accepted. So was I good at it? I was good enough to be accepted and leave from there. But art is an element, I think, in people's lives, no matter how it's expressed.
Yep.
Whether it's in food or in
any type of art form,
and it's like, there's the cream of the crop. And it's like, I need to make more solid money. But actually, the avenue that I stepped into, which it probably talks to many people's lives, like, God, this isn't doing it, but what is it? But, here's a job that's open. Let me do that. I was actually waiting tables.
Yeah.
Lord Almighty. I sat in the car until I actually had to go in. Otherwise, I'd be late because I was terrified. And then the person that trained me, it's like, okay, you go to the table, you ask them what they want, you go to the kitchen, and you put it up, and they make it for you, and then you take it back to the person that told you what you wanted.
Ooh, how simple.
I got it. Then someone went on vacation, and she was in charge of banquets. And I thought, well, this is easy. Now I ask one person for 200 people what they want to eat. I tell the kitchen. We come to the day. We bring it out. Everybody's happy. I can do this.
Yeah.
She left. I stepped into her job. And then from there, I then stepped into the general manager's jobs. And this was in private country clubs. And so I was high maintenance. Sorry. It just fell out of my mouth. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was a place where art was able to move through me because of the aesthetics, both in my love of food. When I was 11, I had a vision that I would love to work in a place where there were white tablecloths and that I got to cater to a nice level of people.
At 11, he says.
And be creative in that.
Yeah.
And that came to fruition when I started to be and manage. And I think, oh my God, 21.
21 and you're managing stuff like
21.
That. Well,
20, and,
take the right
and
steps. Do the right work.
Allow it to come forward.
Yeah.
And you can do anything you ever desire.
Yeah.
As long as you open and get out of the way sometimes. Right. That was the truth for me. And my clientele was 70, 75, 60s, late 60s, because they were very affluent. Yep. And so there was a huge contrast in age. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, kid, which was my nickname, even though I was the GM. Yeah. And I did that for 35 years.
Wow.
35 years. And it served me and my family well.
Of course, yeah.
But at the end of it, there was a different calling. But most of the time in Long Beach, and I liked Long Beach.
Yeah. So what brought you to Sedona, and when and how did it all transpire?
Oh my God. How long do we have?
Highfalutin, big, to do, coming to a little tiny rinky dink Sedona.
All right. Here's how I found Sedona.
Yeah.
All right. I have kids. Mm-hmm. I have 2. And my son was 9.
Yep.
And we belong to a Unity church in Tustin, California.
Okay.
And he wanted to go to summer camp. So I said, okay. All right. Of course, it was the day after the 4th of July, which on the 4th of July, we usually entertained and fed 1,000 people. And I thought, okay, fine. I didn't pick the day. We'll get up at 4 the next morning and I'll drive you to Prescott. And that's where his camp was. So my choice was either to stay in Prescott or drop him off and then come back and pick him up, or I'll just take a week of vacation. Yeah. And then I thought, oh, Sedona, I'd never heard of it. Yeah. It looked interesting. I didn't know about its beauty, but it just sounded like the right place. Because, I don't know, Mercury's in retrograde and there was some festival and all the hotels were full. Yeah. But I got in this new B&B. Mm-hmm. When I called, actually the chef answered the phone. So we had a great conversation. Food. That's how things happen here in Sedona. They just unfold. And she goes, we have a couple spare rooms left.
What?
And I'll give you a great deal. So it just kept getting better. So I thought, okay. So I dropped my son Matthew off and I came here to Sedona. And we'd left early. I was dog tired. I could not wait. And it's like my jaw dropped when I drove into town.
And which direction did you come? 40 down?
Actually, I came back roads, and it was the 360 from Prescott and all of the switchbacks. You're driving 50. Wow. I thought, oh my God, this is an endless road. And so
Didn't know what was coming.
I turned into Jerome. I thought, well, this is very cool. And then this big patch of nothingness. And then I just, when you come over the hill on 89A.
And you just see the vista.
I almost drove off the road, and I thought, wow, this is very cool. Yeah. And that was my first experience here. So Matthew was 9. He's 32 now. Wow. So it was a long time ago.
Wow. Nice. So when did you end up moving out here?
Okay. So in my corporate career and through my progression of my life, I now have a partner, which now after the years, I have a husband.
Yay!
And just after maybe 2004, and I thought, and I hadn't come back. I'm supposed to
haven't come back since?
No. I'm supposed to bring him here. And I thought, literally then, the town rolled up when the sun went down.
Yes.
There's nothing, it's a daylight town, And I'm thinking, God, he's either going to love it or he's going to hate it. So what the hell? Let's just jump in. Yeah. And we did. And oh my God, he loves it.
Yeah.
We would go walking. We would just be here.
Yeah.
And originally it was, the hotels are so expensive. And I thought, you know what? There's other places to stay. I had actually canceled our reservations. And I was sitting at my desk in my office and I thought, you know what? There's another way to do this, which became part of my life. Is everything in life is negotiable.
Okay.
Found a place. It's a place we always stayed. Now, faced west. I would be an early riser. I would get up and drink my coffee.
Yeah.
I would watch the hot air balloons come up in the distance. Yeah. Where I was looking, is where we live now.
Oh, no kidding.
It's where we live now.
How cool is that?
They fly over the house every morning. So he loved it, and we'd always come for a week. And so every year for about, 11 years, we'd come for a week or two, or split up, and we'd come for 2 separate weeks in a particular year.
Right.
And it just felt like home when we drove in, and when we would go home, there was this sadness,
Right.
Even though we were going home, it's like,
no, you weren't
I'm
going
leaving
home.
something behind.
Yeah. That's exact. I mean, I've been doing enough interviews on this podcast, and it seems like the people that are saturated here, it's all the same. Unless you were born and raised here, all of us have come, and when we came in, something felt deep like home.
Yes.
And then leaving. I mean, I remember leaving. Bell Rock was my first in, my last out. When I was leaving to go back to Phoenix to fly back, I'd see Bell. I'm going to get emotional on this one. I'd see Bellevue Courthouse on my way out, and I'd start crying.
Yes.
As I'm leaving this place. I mean, how ridiculous was that?
No.
I didn't even know what that meant.
It's not ridiculous, and I so get it.
Right.
In fact, after we moved here, the hill that on 89A that you come up over by the high school, and you get that view, that was our way out a lot of times because we started coming before the roundabouts on 179.
Yes.
And so we remember coming into town in the congestion with the construction. Okay. So we were told to come the other way.
Right. Made sense.
Right. So going down, even after we moved here, because it felt like such a dream, and quite frankly, our presence here was a miracle. Then when I would go home, because we live out in the west side in the woods, that same sadness would come up. And I'm thinking, then I'd have to go, okay, you're not going, you're going home here in Sedona.
Yes.
And there were days I thought, maybe I've just died and I've actually come to heaven.
Wow. Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. So in your travels, literal, through the country, where have you been, and has anything kind of, I mean, I kind of know what the answer is probably going to be because you're here now.
Yeah.
But where have you been? What kind of things have you seen in the country?
Okay. We live 40 miles southwest of Chicago. And when I was growing up 1.5 million years ago, it was before the trains became Amtrak. They were all privatized.
Right.
My father worked in the roundhouses, and he was an electrician. He didn't travel on the trains, but he fixed them because they would come there. And I remember one of them, it was like remember the circus trains that nobody ever sees?
Right.
He brought me down to the roundhouses to see the circus train. So he fixed them. So airline people today have gifts of a reduced rate. He only had to pay the tax to travel on the train.
Wow. Nice get.
So my uncle lived in California.
Yeah.
And my grandmother lived in West Palm Beach. So every other summer, we would travel on the trains and we would go someplace. So all the states between Chicago and Illinois and the West Coast and then down towards Florida, I've traveled. And when you're on the train, you don't have to drive. You get to just sit and experience it.
Exactly.
It's not like stopping and experiencing the fullness of it.
Right.
But you got to see the land and the country. And I absolutely adore that.
Nice.
So I've seen a lot of mileage and different terrain and, lots of beauty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. You said that you do some hiking and stuff like that. Do you have like a favorite area or a favorite hike in Sedona that you guys tend to be on, or do you just kind of wing it every time you go out?
We have different favorite places. It's kind of like watching movies. I'm a rerun guy, and it's like I've seen movies. This particular movie a lot. So I have my go-to films.
Right.
The walks here or the hikes. Okay, you are a hiker. I walk.
That's okay. We got plenty of walk trails.
We have walk trails.
Yeah.
And because I think walking or hiking is different for every person.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's stamina, sometimes it's exercise. For me, it is filling myself back up because it's not just one foot in front of the other. It is exactly that. That is release and that filling myself back up. It is that realization of oneness in my steps.
Okay.
And the places I like to go, I love Red Rock Crossing. Okay. It may be very touristy, and it is now. And sometimes I've gone once and it was absolutely full. So I've learned not to go on the weekends. one thing I learned from Oak Creek, because I would come all just jacked up from corporate.
Yep.
And I got in the water once, just knee deep, not swimming, but in the water. And what I noticed is every anxiety and tension was sucked out of me and went downstream.
As it should be.
So the learning curve is the very first, next time we came, the first thing I did is get in that damn creek and
release. And
then I was open. So
nice.
that's a great place that we like to go together. We actually cross the creek. We take our little beach chairs and we camp there for the day.
Nice.
And Sugarloaf, I call it Arts Mountain. That's his favorite place that's his go-to place.
Nice.
And it's over by Coffee Pot. And I love the way in and then up to the top.
Yeah.
You know, and actually I was so stupid one day. It snowed, you know, and I thought, okay, I'm only going to go take pictures and I'm going to take pictures from the parking lot. I had Crocs on. Okay.
I know where this
is
going.
Don't fall off your chair. And no one had been on the trail yet. It was in the morning.
Fresh snow.
It was pristine. And so I walked in a little, and I walked in a little farther, and I walked in a little farther. It was a spiritual experience.
Nice.
It was pristine.
Yeah.
And I walked all the way up to the base of Coffee Pot in my Crocs.
Really?
Now, I know. Okay, on the way back, I got my big camera in my hand, and I slipped and I fell. And I did not put my hand down. I had my camera there, so I guarded that puppy because that's my lifeline. The art still in my life is through my lens.
Oh,
okay. I've hurt my arm so bad. I'm lucky I did not break it.
You didn't break anything? Did you pop, dislocate? Nothing happened?
Maybe tore a ligament. I'm not sure, but I never, it's like, okay, it'll come back. It'll be fine. And eventually it was.
Yeah.
But man, that was stupid. But you know what? If I did it, I'd do it again.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And I love to go to West Fork.
Nice.
All different kinds of seasons.
Of course. Yeah. That changes. For me, growing up in the Northeast, West Fork is the equivalent.
Yes.
If I want to get that fix of the place where I grew up, then I'll go to West Fork and I'll experience the creek, the trees, the foliage, the canopies, the beauty behind that. Yeah. So that's cool.
I had a teacher once tell me, we all find our way home, whatever that means to us.
Yeah.
And Illinois to Southern California. Okay, I remember going outside one day. It was 55 degrees. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh my God, it's cold.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
And I'm going, oh my God, you've been away from Chicago way too long. I mean, I remember your lips are cracked. I don't know how many layers you have on. You smile and it's just painful. And so I missed the four seasons. And here in Sedona, we have them. And I am
not the coolest.
We have fall, which is my favorite, winter, which we're in, but I don't have to own a snow shovel.
Yes.
I get the beauty.
High five on that one. High five on that one, brother. I don't want to shovel again.
We get the beauty.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like last year. We had 18-inch dump. It's 67 degrees outside today. I'm loving this.
Yeah.
West Fork for me is the epitome of that. Mm-hmm. It's spring. You have the wild lilacs, which the scent is incredible. The irises that come up.
Yeah. You get the little apple orchard too on the way in when it's harvest time.
It's beautiful.
The apple fragrances, the apple blossoms before. Yeah. Absolutely.
And each of the places that we go walk, has a history and has a unique story to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 So you mentioned before that you fill up. You release, you find places to release and fill up. This is kind of like a segue into my next question. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Right? So talk to me a little bit about Unity and what brought you to Unity and how you got where you are today in the essence of the Unity of Sedona.
Okay. That was a journey. I grew up Catholic. And I know, good Catholic boy. Yeah.
Altar boy too?
No. Never crossed that line.
I did that. Yeah.
It's like, anyway. I'm the back of the church kind of guy, not the front. And
funny how times change.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
full circle there. Then I kind of left. It wasn't fitting.
Yeah.
And to me, it's got to fit.
Yeah. It's got to fit in the heart, man.
It's absolutely. Or the heart has to fit in how I express it. And
Absolutely.
then from there, it's like there was this Unity Church down the street from this house we bought, and it's like it had this pull. And actually, it was the Unity Church, and one of the things that they said was to tell the truth of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
It was in a spiritual environment that was the greatest shift in me.
Nice.
That brought me from who I thought I was or who I was supposed to be into telling the truth of who I am.
Nice.
And yes, it was painful, but it was the Unity Church that brought me out. Then from there, I moved over to Long Beach. And, you know, it's like you can have a math class, but it's the teacher.
Yeah.
It's the same book.
Yeah.
It's the same principles.
Presentation, baby.
It's what gets you excited.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't there at the Unity experience. And I wanted my people close to me.
Yeah.
I want to go all the way to Tustin for that. And so I found a religious science church, and that's now called Centers for Spiritual Living. The fun thing there is both Unity and religious science stem from Christian Science.
Yep.
And the teacher of teachers, Emma Curtis Hopkins, taught both the Fillmores, who Charles and Myrtle, who created Unity, and Ernest Holmes, who was the founder of Religious Science Church. So it's kind of apples and apples, but they kind of took it in their own
Different
individualized ways, different flavor. Yeah. So I became a practitioner through religious science, and I was with this one organization for, 15 years on property. And when we moved, I still needed to maintain my license, and I'm still anchored with them, which is Namaste Center for Spiritual Living in Long Beach. When we would visit, there was a very, very small organization, which was religious science. And the year we moved here, it dried up. And my husband kept going, there's a Unity church down the street. There's a Unity church down the street. And I'm thinking, well, I do want my people around me, because in Prescott and in Flagstaff, there's a CSL.
Yeah.
And I think, no, that's not going to work for me. So we went. And if you ever walked into a room full of people and go, okay, these are my people.
Yeah.
That was my first day on Unity. And Michael Murdad came out. And
welcome to a different world.
Thank you. And, you know, it was the world that I needed, because the senior minister at the time when I left, he did what he needed to do, but I needed more.
Yep.
And when I opened the door at Unity,
you needed depth,
a huge depth.
Yeah.
It was all he could teach me.
Right.
And I needed more.
Yeah.
And as soon as he opened his mouth, I was home.
Yeah.
I was home. That was a place. Michael Murdad is a fantastic teacher.
Absolutely.
Both on Sundays and his teaching and his service.
Absolutely.
And any course that he teaches, I have been taken to new depths, and it is exactly where I needed to go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you grown into other avenues at Unity?
So the answer is yes. Yeah. One of the challenges that I had, because Michael actually invited me to join the chaplains.
Yeah.
But in order for me to maintain my license and their code of ethics, CSLs, I could not belong to two churches. And in order to be a chaplain, you had to be a member. Okay. So it actually was a year-long process for me to work out with. I'm an outreach minister with Centers for Spiritual Living, maintaining my license and allowance
to creative
become a member of Unity of Sedona, where I could step into being a chaplain. Excellent. And now I'm the lead chaplain at Unity. In fact, I have an upcoming class.
Yeah.
It's a duality within me that I'm not here to teach you how to do God. You're going to do God in your own way. Right. And I only honor that, because as Michael says, we're all going to sin together.
Yeah.
I may need to reach my hand out in front of me for someone that's farther along in the same path. And then I reach my hand behind, but at no reason am I going to teach you on that.
Right.
That's your own work.
Absolutely.
On how you see that. So I hate the word class. So I'm having a book study, which we will help each other to have a greater understanding of God for ourselves.
Oh, nice.
Because Emma Curtis Hopkins always had a phrase, which I absolutely adore, and it's the God of your greatest understanding, because that is the truth of where each and every one of us are.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So this starts on the first Tuesday and 4 consecutive Tuesdays in the month of March. You can go to my website, which is soulsjourney.love.
Oh, nice.
And just go to the class section. You can sign up there through, PayPal or your debit or credit card.
Just so you know, Laura Lee and I are strongly considering that. We both saw it when you first put it out the other day. Maybe it was a week ago, whatever.
Yeah.
We're strongly considering that. For us, of course, spring is insanity for tourism. So we have to evaluate where everything lies. And as you know, it's about prioritization.
Yes.
And we're kind of struggling because of that.
I got it.
Meaning, we want it badly. We're going to figure it out. It's going to come into our way as it needs to.
Got it. Got it.
Nice.
The catalyst of conversation, because I want this to be conversation. I'm not going to sit in the front of the room and tell you like it is.
Right.
I'm using Joel Goldsmith's book, not Goldstein, but Goldsmith. He's passed. He was a Christian scientist, but his words and his books are deep.
Yeah.
You can read a book a number of times, like you can watch a movie.
Yeah.
And where you are with your spirituality, it's telling you something different.
Exactly.
Joel Goldsmith's work is exactly like that.
Yeah.
And it's called Practicing the Presence. It's a very thin book. His stuff is easy to read. His big book was The Infinite Way, which most people are probably familiar with. I think he's written a total of 36 or 38 books. It's lovely, lovely stuff.
Okay.
And the class is only $80.
Yep.
So I've made it affordable because it's a special place for you to learn about yourself and your relationship with God.
Right. And as we're learning, that's kind of it. That's the direction we need to go.
Yes. And the class is generated for wherever you are. Yeah. I actually sat with someone and worked with them both in prayer and their questions and their counseling. I'm also a spiritual counselor. And his question, well, how do I develop this relationship? Well, the truth and the answer is not, and what I said to him was, do you have friends?
Yeah.
I said, were you absolute friends immediately? He goes, well, no. I said, okay, how did that go for you? He goes, well, we kind of hung out and we spent some time. Yeah. We had conversations. I said, God is no different.
Absolutely.
We know other people when we spend more time with them.
Ding.
The more I spend time with God and know God to whom I know it is, not how someone else has told me,
right,
I have a better understanding of God. And
nice.
my greatest understanding is in God there is no beginning and no end.
Yep.
And that understanding of God for myself, I have a lifetime and I will never be at a destination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys, or do you in particular, kind of bring your spirituality in your yard work? And I'm saying this, folks, for you guys that don't know this, Jeff has recently done some yard work. I'll let him talk about it and just kind of express what's happened to your yard, because, man, watching it over Facebook, just wonderful watching you guys progress and create.
Yeah. Yeah. It once again, it brings in the creative aspect, and there is no place in my life that spirituality doesn't exist. So in my yard work, it is also like a hike or a walk for me. Yeah. When I'm out there, everything falls away. It's my church. Yeah. When we moved in, this is going to sound ludicrous. I don't buy anything online. We bought our house online. We had never stepped foot in it.
Really?
I know. Barrett just fell off his
chair. It's like blind date. but
you're
intense.
Committed. Yeah. No, you've married online.
Wow.
And you meet and it's already done at the end of the altar.
Wow.
I know. It was crazy. But I grilled. Of course, I saw pictures.
Yeah.
But still, it's nuts. And I grilled the person that sold this to us. And I have 3 criteria for wherever I live.
Yeah.
Where does the Christmas tree go? What kind of light is in it? And what's the kitchen look like? Because I like to cook.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Okay. which I was unspoken in the conversation with the owner.
Yeah.
And she goes, there's 3 things I think about when I look at a space, and it's really good in this house that we're selling. Where does the Christmas tree grow?
Are you kidding?
Where's the light, and what's the kitchen?
Are you kidding?
Where do I send my money?
Wow.
I know. We had a trip planned in April to just come out and investigate. So we canceled the hotel because the house closed in March.
All right.
So we came out with air mattresses, and I thought I was going to puke on the way into the house.
Oh, you were just so
I'd never
nervous?
seen it. It was in the dark. And I thought, okay.
Man.
And I told Art, I said, I'm going to tell you when on the drive in, right? It's pitch dark. I said, I don't care if the roof is on the floor. I only need you to say, this is the greatest house I've ever seen in my life. That's how upset I was.
Wow.
And then we got in and going, oh, this is great. And then the sun comes up. And they had planted a lot of rose bushes.
Mm-hmm.
And I have now filled in the holes where the other ones had died.
Yeah.
And in my embellishments of the yard, I now have 40 rose bushes. And over the course of time, bedrock over at Cottonwood, which is little rocks and
Do you
big
own
rocks.
stock in them?
I should. They know my house to deliver.
Yeah.
And it's these big dump trucks that come up and tons of rocks. So I've put rocks down, and the biggest one were these big ones, which were the edgers.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I think my arms are 3 inches longer on both sides. Just 3 tons of rocks that you move, and there's no way to move it except for one rock at a time.
One rock at a time. Yep.
So I actually was out the other day, and February is the month that we prune here.
Yep.
So, and it's like I've put in lilac trees, that whole thing of going home. We had lilacs in our yard, because in springtime, all this stuff would come in. Yeah. So we've got 3, and then I've got the rose bushes, and I've taken out dead and rotting cactuses, which stupid me, the spines on them.
Yeah.
So I thought, even with gloves, I could pick them up and put them in the tree. Yeah, you're laughing.
Tough lessons.
It's like Brillo pad in your hand for 2 weeks. Yeah. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I've learned quick.
All right, here's a nice secret. As an avid hiker and going up and getting lost, duct tape is the answer to all your problems with prickers. Okay. Duct tape. If you got it on your hands, put duct tape on there. Just rip it off quick.
Well, I won't even come close to that. No. There's no more cactuses that need to be chopped.
There you go. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Our house, I adore it. We have open areas on all sides with the javelinas. Javelinas, I had to come to Jesus meeting. They were eating I came out one morning and it's like, oh, it's spring. Everything's coming out. Yeah. It was early in the morning. Everything was stripped.
Ooh.
The only thing they didn't do was knock on the door and ask for ranch dressing. It seriously. But you know what? I think I falsely blamed the javelinas over the last few years. I actually think they were deer.
Really?
Because they cleaned every rose bush completely. I don't know. Anyways, I got cages and fortified and some rerouting things going, okay, this is their land. We're just going to have to find a way to live together.
Medium, yeah. Well, I mean, when you look at Sedona, if you ever visit, folks, you're going to realize that our houses are in the middle of a national forest. We just call it a little tiny city.
Absolutely.
The city of Sedona. But nature goes through our walkways, our driveways. Right here at our shop, we have javelinas just circling around because they're looking for scraps.
Right.
I've seen coyotes and deer and javelinas and bobcats on Segway tours as we go through the back streets. It's just the way it is.
They're in our backyard. And I like them, I honor them, and I don't go near them because they can be really dangerous. Yes. I'm not a snake person, and they always show up in the spring in the backyard. Yeah. But, of course, me needing to take pictures, I don't care how far I will go and take a picture, and then I'll look, I'm thinking king snake. I don't care. It was 7 feet long. And I thought, okay, we're going to learn. And I looked it up, and they eat rattlesnakes.
Yes, they do.
And rodents. I thought, okay. We're going to be cool. Yeah. And then the tarantulas, I remember, because they come out like in October. Yeah. We only had the one car, so I had to go pick up Art from work. And the tarantula was between me and the car. And I think, okay, how's this going to work? I actually went around the house to the back side of the car. I did. It wouldn't move. And backed the car out. And then when we got home, it was gone. But, they're docile. They're fine.
They absolutely are.
I'll see them out of the corner of my eye when I'm gardening. And I'm thinking, okay, I'll just garden over here and they'll find their place.
Yeah. I got some stories, but I'm going to leave that for a podcast because I've been introduced to a lot of our natural animals and creatures.
It's part of the beauty and the nature and the story of Sedona.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So last couple of things. Is there one or two things that you could tell everybody about yourself that not too many people know that you'd be willing to share?
Oh, gosh, yes. Okay. Here's one. It has got a good story, and you can cut it out if you want. And that's, my name is Howard Jeffrey Schlicht.
No kidding.
Never in my life, unless I was in trouble,
right,
was I called Howard. No, not even no, legally.
Oh, God!
We'll leave those stories alone.
Story,
yeah, plural, but that's okay.
Okay. All right.
And it has always been a weird thing. I was adopted.
Mm-hmm.
I found, I think I was 16, this piece of paper. It said Jeffrey Ward, adopted to my parents' name. And on it, my mother had written Howard. Howard was my father's brother's name.
Okay.
So, as we all get named after brothers and sisters of parents.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's great. But they always called me Jeff or Jeffrey, which I go by now because it's what I always did. Okay. I told you I grew up Catholic.
Yes.
Okay. So that they still wore the habits, and I didn't go to Catholic school, but we all went to catechism. I was in second grade. They had everybody's name on the front of the desks and at least 4 inches high and printed, right? Yeah. So I'm going through there, and I go to the nun, the sister. I said, "Sister, you don't have a place for me." She goes, "No, I can see it from here." And I went back out looking for my desk, and I went back again. I said, "Sister, there's no place for me." And I can only think what this sister was thinking, like, "Good Lord, why did you bring this child to me? It's right here."
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, that's not my name. My name is Jeff." She goes, "I was told your birth name was Howard. That's what you'll go by." It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Only a year and a half ago did I do, through Ancestry, the DNA.
Oh, excellent.
I was told by my mother, Ward meant ward of the court because of adoption.
Yeah.
The only thing she could tell me was there was maybe some Romanian blood. And that was it.
Okay.
So my 100% match was a woman by the name of Anastasia Ward. A little too close to home with the Ward.
Yeah.
She grew up in Aurora, Illinois.
What?
Her background and her grandparents came from Romania. I contacted her because through Ancestry, there's an interconnection where you can chat.
Yeah.
So as it unfolds, I had 4 brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And found my biological mother. And the story is, and it's a wild story, is the family was just absolute upheaval within them. Dad was in and out of jail.
Okay.
And they had gone to do a bank heist, and Mom was
the family? The family?
Well, the kids weren't in the car.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
They were in the back seat.
Mom and Dad went to rob the bank. Mom was the getaway driver.
Right.
Dad went in to rob the place. Mom got nervous and drove off.
She took off on him.
So, of course, he went to jail. Okay. A lot of the births were in June, which was mine.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking he must have gotten out sometime in October. Just my story.
Doing some math, were you?
But I was the youngest of the 5 boys, and she adopted me out. He came home, probably from prison, and said, "Where's the baby? I put it up for adoption. You better go get it." She said, "It's too late." So if you've ever been to a doctor, you fill a form out. Yeah. What's your family history?
Yeah.
For me, it was very quick. N.A., not applicable.
Right.
Until I spoke to 2 of the brothers. Yeah. After I found this out. The mother, everybody told me the woman's a piece of work. Well, she had not had an easy life.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the story is they got divorced. They broke up. She had a marital affair probably when she was in prison. He got out, my biological father. Yeah. Came home, found them home. 2 of the kids were at home, shot them both. They both lived. Obviously, he goes back to prison. Divorced, and I have a half brother also in Minnesota, I think. I've not spoken to her, and my message to her was, I survived.
Yeah.
I have no resentments.
Yeah.
I had a life. We lived 3 miles from each other.
What?
The river was the east side and the west side.
Yeah. And it was just across the river?
Across the river.
No kidding.
Across the river. Parallel lives.
Oh, wonderful.
Never ran into each other. So actually, I was able to ask, what's the family history? What's this? What's that? And yes, I had grandparents that came from Romania, Jewish, which I always felt. Yes.
Really?
On my maternal side, which makes me Jewish.
Yeah.
Never practiced. Of course, grew up Catholic. There's
twist the whole thing.
There's a duality. Yeah. And then Wales, that's where the word comes from. In England and Scotland and that whole area. Yep. So, yeah. So that's one thing. Yeah, that's Howard. And yeah, that's good.
That's good. We'll call it a day.
That's great.
Well, fantastic, Jeff. Thank you very much for spending time with me. We'll be seeing you, of course, always on the Sundays, unless you're somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or unless we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We're going to be there every Sunday. No. We're not going anywhere.
I'm home.
But thank you very much for spending time with me outside of Unity and outside of your shop, seeing me on the segways when we cruise by every once in a while.
Yep.
But I appreciate you. You know,
likewise.
There's certain people that, like you were saying, when you open the door and there's family, there's certain people when you walk around and you start knowing people that you're just going to gravitate to, and you're that guy in there that I gravitate to.
That's kind.
So that's really sweet stuff.
And likewise, thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for doing the podcast. Thank you, folks, for listening. And again, we're getting more creative, apparently, with my podcast, and some really dynamite histories getting shown, not just of Sedona, but of life in general. So this is really powerful, and I'm appreciating your listening in and sticking through with me to all the podcasts I have. Thank you very much. God bless you all, and we will see you next time. Thank you again for listening in today, folks. Your time and energy is greatly appreciated. Please feel free to download these episodes, favorite them, share them, and even visit my YouTube channel, Yava-Coco Productions, for all the podcast playlists and for some insanely cool videos of my hiking adventures that I do in Sedona. That all helps me to continue to bring you more exciting podcasts and videos, both for healing, spirituality, as well as just kind of amazing videos of Sedona, Arizona. For those of you wanting to dig in a little deeper, maybe you're struggling with some inner issues, or you're in a recovery path from an addiction, or just looking for inspirational discussions about healing, check out all of my podcasts on your favorite podcast players. Titles like Path to Recovery Podcast, Cognitive Awareness with a Touch of God Podcast, Bear Clan's Hiking Sedona Podcast, and yes, I even have one called Star Wars, The Bear Awakens Podcast. We are here to help you. And what we're trying to do is offer you things that can help you for free. Plus, there's entertainment involved with a lot of these anyway. So thank you again, folks. God bless you, and I hope to see you on the rocks.